Trump. All right. Now, you people, and I know some of you are diehard Donald Trump loyalists. I know that. But you know I am not going to tank it for Donald Trump. Never have. Never will. And I'm not going to be his lawyer. You know, Chris Cuomo keeps going, oh, you're defending Trump. No, I'm reporting on him fairly. That's what I'm doing. So, another indictment for Trump basically trying to interfere in the Georgia vote will be forthcoming this month. The Atlanta DA, Fulton County, Fannie Willis. Let's see Fannie, throw her up there. A fanatical leftist. Been investigating this for 29 months. Fannie doesn't really work quickly. This could be a 2-month investigation because there's only one piece of evidence that we know about. This is a phone call made on January 2nd, 2021 from President Trump to the Georgia Secretary of State. Roll the tape.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
All right, so Trump believed at the time of the phone call that he won Georgia, and he believes that his vote count was suppressed. That's what he believed then. That's what he believes now. So he has a right to believe that. In Georgia, Stacey Abrams, defeated for the governorship, believes she won and went around the entire state telling every Georgian, I won the election. And of course, she didn't win. But Ms. Abrams was entitled to her opinion. Now, any lawyer could tear Fannie Willis's case apart. Okay? Trump is basically saying to the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, I believe my votes were suppressed in your state. So you need to find all of my votes. That's not a crime. And that looks to me like the whole indictment there. If maybe I'm wrong, if there's other stuff, I'll report it. But this looks to me like this thing is nothing, a zero. Okay. Now we go to Washington, D.C., where there is a judge in the January 6th case named Tanya Chutkan. Okay? Now, Tanya has said, and we're going to do a profile on her tomorrow, but she is absolutely a fervent Democrat, okay? And now her supporters in the Democratic Party are raising the race issue because Donald Trump is directly criticizing Tanya Chutkan, the judge, which he should not do. That's not smart, in my opinion. But now, since he's doing it, the networks in particular, NBC, the most fervent Democratic network, is making it a race thing. Roll the tape.
You've seen already Donald Trump put some focus on her. And frankly, you know, the fact that she's a black woman is something that's going to be very critical here, because you've seen the sort of ire that Donald Trump has pointed towards, particularly women of color who have sort of crossed him or who have brought charges against him in the past.
I have not seen any ire on the part of former President Trump toward black women. So Ryan Riley, the justice correspondent for NBC News, a joke. It really is a farce. Unless you can point to something, Mr. Riley, okay, and I'm glad you dropped the O, because I don't want to be associated with you at this point. Unless you could point to some, what did he do to black women? What did Donald Trump do? Give me something. Don't just throw that stuff out irresponsibly. So at this point, Trump, there's no lockdown except for the Mar-a-Lago documents. Okay? That's the only lockdown. He took them. National Archives asked for him back. He didn't respond quickly enough to get them back. That a big deal? Okay, but there's something else. Now, in the January 6th allegations are, and this is complicated, so I'm going to go very, very slowly because I had to read it 5 times. Trump is accused of devising, that's the key word, devising a scheme to replace electoral people, people that go to D.C. and certify the electoral votes, with his own alternative people. So a state like Pennsylvania goes to Biden. The state electoral people report it to the federal government, the Electoral College. Trump didn't want that. He wanted his people to replace those people and his people to certify that Trump won the state of Pennsylvania, because that's what Trump thought. Okay, so the effort was predicated on a fringe legal theory put forth by Trump attorney John Eastman. Eastman told Trump, you can do this under the Constitution. You can have your set of electoral people go in and present their case to Vice President Pence, who had to certify the election. You can do it. That's what Eastman told Trump. No doubt about that. Eastman admits it. And Trump listened to Eastman because that's what he wanted to believe. There were a ton of other people that told Trump, you can't do this, including the Vice President Pence. Trump tried it anyway. Now, the key is, the allegation says that Trump knew this was bogus and did it anyway. Pence was the guy who can say yes or no on that. So Pence shows up on NBC, roll the tape.
I looked through the process. I was determined to hear the objections that Republicans were planning to bring, Chuck, and many did bring.
Right.
I mean, you remember Democrats brought objections to Electoral College votes in 3 of the last 4 elections that Republicans prevailed. There's nothing unusual about that.
None of it, right.
But I did ask the parliamentarian.
Under the law.
I did ask the parliamentarian very directly, Chuck.
Right.
I asked her because I was hearing rumors. I was reading in the newspaper that there were alternate electors. I asked her point blank.
Was anybody in the White House telling you this?
From any state? And she said there was not. I don't recall that. I just remember hearing it in the public. And I wanted a definitive answer whether or not the parliamentarian had received any additional electoral votes. She had not.
Now, the key to that, what Pence just said, and he cannot go back on it now. The question was anybody in the White House telling you this? And he said, I don't recall that. I just remember hearing it in the public. That, if Pence swears in a deposition to that, Trump wins. And again, I'm not being Trump's lawyer. I'm just bringing you facts that you probably haven't heard. So Pence is the key, and he just told you. I don't recall anybody in the White House telling me there was this scheme going on. Now, that just blows that case right out of the water. Doesn't it? Remember, the allegation is Trump knew this was phony, and now we have Eastman, his lawyer, telling him it wasn't phony, and Pence, and I don't recall anybody in the White House telling me to do this. It's over, right? Unless there's something else. Okay, I mean, my job is to bring you what is on the record. Very confusing. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town. If you have questions, we will answer them tomorrow.